That's Snow White.
Well, yes.
Look, I don't mean to be mean here at all, but the first thing I thought of when I saw this was, nah, not that one. Nah, that's it.
I played video games in a drunken haze. I was 17 years young.
The leaders of the kingdoms have received a letter from Prince Wendell, supposedly, attributing his absence to a sprained ankle, and while most are simply relieved to have heard anything at all, others aren't so sure the letter is to be trusted.
I shall go to the hunting lodge by the fastest steed in the kingdom and tell him of the Troll King's challenge. The Queen is still at large. She has spies everywhere. Nothing that is said here must go beyond this room.
Damn, make that dude the king.
Jolly good idea.
As one of the leaders leaves on horseback in search of Wendell, the Queen has witnessed all of this through her magic mirror. Summoning the huntsman for aid, she reveals to us that she is the author of the letter and sends the huntsman to make sure the man from earlier doesn't return from his excursion to Wendell's hunting lodge. Now back in the woods, Tony and Wolf are at a loss on what to do about Virginia when something grabs their ear.
Listen.
What a coincidence, stumbling across the very same woodsman the magic bird told them about. In exchange for his magic axe, the woodsman lays out quite the interesting deal for them.
Oh, you can have my magic axe if you can guess my name. But your friend must kneel by this block, and if you haven't found my name out by the time I've chopped all these logs into firewood, I will have his head.
Tony sums up my feelings, and probably yours too, on the situation.
What is it with you people? What kind of twisted upbringing did you have? You know, why can't you just say, oh, that'll be 100 gold coins? Why does it always have to be? No, not unless you lay a magic egg or count the hairs on the giant's ass.
Too smart for his own good, Tony thinks he has the game figured out and accepts the challenge, so with Wolf kneeling by the block, head locked in, can he really not wiggle out of that huge opening? Tony proudly and arrogantly takes his first guess.
Your name is Rumpelstiltskin.
No!
Here we're just going to get some back and forth scenes between the woodsman and Tony, who is still failing to guess the woodsman's name, and Virginia stuck in the Keebler elf tree. The huntsman begins interrogating Virginia on Wendell's whereabouts, and then for like no reason at all, he begins to tell her the story of how he got his crossbow.
She said, when this crossbow is fired, the bolt will not stop until it hits the heart of a living being. It cannot miss.
And we're let in on a dark secret of his.
The bolt left the bow like gossamer. It sped a mile through the trees, then killed a child who was playing there. I remember the Queen's face as I pulled the bolt from my son's heart.
Man, I don't want to take this seriously, but something is just off about this delivery.
You will be my huntsman.
Can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but it has this like soap opera made-for-TV feel to it. I mean, it was a made-for-TV miniseries though, so what am I complaining about, right? Whatever his name is arrives at Wendell's cottage and triggers some sort of alarm that takes forever to reach the huntsman. So much so that he makes like 2 or 3 threats on killing her instead of just doing it.
It is my destiny to kill you now.
I will kill you.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
The alarm, of course, saves Virginia for now, and the woodsman, nearing his last piece of wood, is ready to have Wolf's head when another of the magic birds from earlier sneaks a peek into the woodsman's hat.
Now, I will have your friend's head.
Just a minute, Juliet.
That's 2 close calls in a matter of seconds. Now, as if we didn't already know his words were true, one screeching shot later, the man searching for Wendell drops dead. By this point, even the birds are getting a little tired of the gang's crap, but one agrees to help them once again and leads Tony and Wolf to Virginia, who is still inside the huntsman's tree. Unable to figure out how to open the magic door,
He's concealed it with magic. It could take weeks to open. Just,
Open sesame.
the fairy tales continue.
I've always wanted to say this. Love of my life, let down your lustrous locks.
Wolf finally reaches the top, and not a moment too soon as the huntsman arrives and all hell breaks loose, culminating with the huntsman knocked unconscious. So attempting to put an end once and for all to the chase, Wolf is one swing away from murdering him, but Virginia won't let him, and the 3 escape, leaving the huntsman unconscious and helpless on the floor. Heading back to where they buried Wendell, he is safely retrieved, and Virginia comes storming into the shot, upset at Wolf for the overzealous haircut he has given her with the woodsman's axe.
You just don't say a word.
I think it's pretty cute, honestly. Now, while our trolls are still ransacking the local village, the Queen is getting more and more upset that Ed is disobeying her orders. At the same time, Tony and Virginia and Wolf finally catch up to Acorn, who disappoints them when he reveals he swapped the mirror for a sheep. The Queen again tries to get Wolf under her control, appearing to him in a puddle of water, and he expresses great concern at heading into the village, knowing that tonight is a full moon. I mean, he is a wolf. Spotting a flock of sheep that looks all too tasty, he asks Virginia to keep him out of trouble and... Oh man, my favorite part of this series.
My name's Sally Peep. I'm a shepherdess. I'd be scared you'd come into my house and huff and puff and blow all my clothes off. Okay, let's go.
Oh, look who got jealous! The town is in the midst of a competition, one of many they often have, and while wandering around taking everything in, the gang speak with the village idiot and make a wish at his suggestion in the town's wishing well.
It don't work.
God, what an idiot.
It's all dried up now. It hasn't flowed for years. I have made it my life's work to wait by this well until it fills up again.
Given shelter in a barn for the night, the gang finally get some answers as to where the mirror might be.
You want to talk to the local judge? He bought a load of things off that dwarf. Prizes for the competition. You'll find him in the inn over the road.
The full moon is really starting to have an effect on Wolf at this point, and coincidentally, the townspeople are now in the midst of another odd celebration. Here we start to learn a little bit more about the town, but mainly about the most famous family in the town, the Peeps. Apparently they are the best at nearly everything, cooking in this case, and win every competition year after year no matter the criteria.
Everything you're eating comes from us, Peeps. Best farming family in the whole of the 9 kingdoms, if I say it myself.
Well, you go right ahead and say it. What is your secret?
Oh, I suppose we're just good farmers.
Yeah, that's suspicious. Wolf joins them for dinner, suddenly feeling much better than before, and the judge finally arrives, giving them their chance to inquire about the mirror. We catch the tail end of their conversation after they've explained how the mirror is rightfully theirs, but the judge, having purchased it fair and square from Acorn as a prize for the upcoming competition, isn't willing to return it. So Wolf and Sally Peep...
It's my 18th birthday today. Bet you can't guess what's gonna happen to me tonight.
What? What happened?
What's that sticking out the back of your trousers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, whenever she's on screen, I just can't concentrate.
Woof.
Now, after watching this scene about 11 times, I concluded that Virginia steps in pretending to be Wolf's wife to save him from being beaten up by some jealous boys of the town.
Excuse me, what are you doing to my husband?
Those words throw Wolf into a frenzy, and feeling everything in this moment, he shares some of his childhood memories with Virginia under the full moon. Now, after the gathering, Tony is wheeling the dog back home for the night when he spots something fishy. Seeing the entirety of the Peep family heading into their barn, he follows them out of curiosity and discovers, along with Sally, the family's secret.
The reason there's no more magic water in the village well is because me and my brother died for it in the stream 40 years ago. The Peeps have all the magic now.
God, you greedy bastards.
You never breathe a word to anyone, or I'll cut your throat. Grandchild or no grandchild?
Wolf's hormones and werewolf instincts are overwhelming his sensibilities by this point, and he launches a fiery tirade of love, anger, and overall a mixed bag of emotions at Virginia. Tony bursts in to tell them what he's discovered, but Wolf runs out in frustration at himself and his actions, and the Queen again tries contacting him and baiting him into accepting what he is and fulfilling her mission. The next morning, Tony wakes Virginia with a plan to get their mirror back. Planning to dip a sheep he caught into the Peep's magic well, he points out some of the curtains nearby for Virginia to turn into clothes. With what materials? What needle and thread? And intends for her to enter the contest and win it. Now, Wolf looks like total hell at this point, pouring sweat and nearing the brink of insanity, so he makes Virginia tie him up. And Sally cries Wolf, discovering all of their flock have been torn to shreds by someone. Wolf? And the Queen continues to badger him. Uh-oh. The town has begun its shepherdess competition, and as our typical families enter, a sea of oohs and ahs are heard as Virginia shows up in her cute little outfit.
What do you think you're doing? You're not local. You little goblin. Don't you dare.
I don't know what it is about these girls in these dresses, but...
You better get the best for me.
There's only 2 contestants in the whole damn village? Now, against the other 2 girls' wishes, Virginia adds her name to the register while Tony is getting their sheep ready. I hate this joke because of how corny it is, but damned if this isn't Tony's character.
Now it's time for the Well of Fortune.
3 contestants.
3 contestants! Dude is so over the top. I love his performance. Now, our competition begins with a sing-off, and just in time, Tony shows up with Virginia's sheep.
Wagging their tails behind them.
On stage minutes later, Virginia treats us to a reinterpretation of Queen's We Will Rock You.
Buddy, you're a lamb, make a big bleat. Playing in the field's gonna be a big ram someday. You got wool on your face, you big disgrace. Waving your fleece all over the place.
You gotta love this little cut right here.
Buddy, you're young, you look at you. Playing in the field's gonna be a big ram someday. You got
Oh my god, I love you, Virginia, but you cannot sing.
waving your fleece all over the place. Singing, we will cheer you. Yeah!
Wolf, having escaped, is on the prowl when he spots 2 girls. I don't know what they're doing, just frolicking around the field, apparently. Who the hell is that happy, honestly? By this point, the judge is announcing the winners.
I gotta give Sally Peep 10 out of 10. I also have to give Virginia Lewis 10 out of 10 as well.
It's always win. She shouldn't even be allowed to take part. It's not fair.
That's very unattractive. When the judge gives both Sally and Virginia a 10 out of 10, he decides the tiebreaker will be a herding competition. What do you need to herd? A dog, of course. Of all people, the village idiot gives Tony the idea of dipping Wendell inside the magic well, but it doesn't work.
On right. Oh no!
One thing is he probably touched by this point with his pinky without even really thinking about it.
It's close.
Done in a splendid count of 85.
Now suddenly the magic water just works. Okay. And all in a matter of seconds, Wendell takes a revenge bite out of Tony, has the predicament they're currently in explained to him, and hauls ass to Virginia where he just barely wins the tiebreaker for them.
Get in that pen, you disgusting little woolly jumper.
Count of 80. 1, 2, 3. Virginia the shepherd is this year's winner.
I like it, honestly. Oh, for the love of God, Sally, I do not love you anymore.
You've made me look a fool in front of the whole village. I'm gonna make you suffer for this, Wolf.
She runs off pouting right into the path of Wolf, and as Tony and Virginia discover how to activate the mirror, the townsfolk come out screaming in terror.
Sally Peep's been murdered!
You know, at this point, I'm not sure if I care based on her behavior, but still, that is a sad waste of a cute face, sexy accent, and assets.
It's quite a ball.
Whether or not he's guilty, we don't actually know, but Wolf is captured by the townsfolk for punishment, and we cut to Ed leading his army through a conquered village when the Queen again summons him. She's upset that the kingdom will be lost completely if she isn't able to rein in his destructive ways, and back with the leaders of the kingdom, the pressure of the troll attacks and Wendell's unknown whereabouts are really piling up. Feeling no option but to accept assistance from 2 of the other kingdoms, the conditions are laid out, and Rupert nearly has a heart attack because all he cares about is his coronation.
I've been planning this coronation for 3.5 years.
Oh, forget the coronation, Lord Rupert. We must sign away sovereignty or lose everything.
God, for real, Rupert, chill out, you little drama queen. In tears, Wolf professes his innocence to Virginia from his cage as a dramatic moment unfolds where she tries to break the news that they're leaving, but instead she agrees to being his counsel at a trial.
Look, nothing you can say is ever gonna change my mind.
Tony isn't too happy about this, but he's got his own wrongs to right, I'd say.
Help me hide this thing under the straw in the wagon.
Now in court, the jury is... and the townsfolk are... The trial begins and the judge delivers the sentence.
Gives me no pleasure to sentence this wolf to death.
Wait, that's not how law works. Virginia begins to represent Wolf to the best of her ability, interviewing witnesses and...
Are you suggesting that an innocent young girl from this village might kiss a man before she's married?
Well, a bit more than that, Your Honor.
You are just this far from being thrown on the bonfire with that filthy, murdering wolf.
Oh man, things are not looking good for Wolf. Outside with Tony and Wendell. Tony uses reverse psychology to get Wendell to attempt for the first time to use some of his dog senses to pick up a scent, while Wolf begins to dig his own grave in court.
How would you describe Sally Peep?
Objection!
Sally?
Nice enough to eat.
Oh, yes!
The judge shouldn't be leading the witness, honestly. Wolf finally comes clean about the chickens, but still professes his innocence in the murder of Sally Peep. And the jury are finally allowed to give their verdict.
The right-hand pen is full of food!
It's full of food!
Wendell follows the scent back to the Peeps barn where the magic well has been destroyed. Wolf is sentenced. He never stood a chance, man. They were planning this before the trial. Tony arrives in the nick of time, claiming he can prove Wolf's innocence.
The Peep family has cheated you for years. Like they have their own magic well.
Revealing the Peeps family's secret to the townsfolk, he accuses Wilfred of the murder.
She wrecked your well, didn't she, Wilfred? You found out what she did, you followed her up into the field, and you killed her, didn't you?
Now, some of the townsfolk believe this, and to add icing on the cake, Wendell comes in with the proof. He's just carrying it around with the bloody part right in his mouth. You know, Audrey was watching this with me, and she was like, he's a bloodhound. And I stopped typing like 6 seconds later as the brilliance of her joke like hit me. I didn't even realize what she said. Wilfred breaks down and confesses, and Wolf is released and escapes with Virginia and Tony back to the barn where, take a wild guess what's going to happen.
What happened to the wagon?
My son, John. He's just taken his pigs to market. Left a couple of hours ago.
Which way and how far?
Well, it's not a journey you'd want to make on foot.
They're bad walkers.
Off again to track down the mirror as it escapes their grasp on cart, our village idiot is pleased to find his life's work is finally complete.
Sounds like our well's getting some water back in it. Oh, yay! The water's back on!
Interesting reading choices have formed here on the book club on the back of this cart.
Do you feel like you do everything for other people and then resent it?
In every way, I am becoming a new and better man.
I have perfected a technique of not looking at her all the time.
I am listening to my emotions, and I am at one with myself.
Hang on, I haven't finished that page yet. Turn back.
Now the gang arrive in Valentine Town. God, it feels like we stepped through a door and... They find yet again the mirror has just escaped their grasp. The huntsman, now awake, is doing exactly as Wolf said he would and stumbles across the book that Wolf tossed out of the cart earlier. Make his job easier, Wolf. The irony of this.
It's not a journey you'd want to make on foot.
I guess he didn't get the message. Now, while exploring the village for signs of the mirror, who should the two run into but the trolls? Wolf and Virginia are having a romantic cart ride through the hills, and we get some more interesting backstory.
Is this the real glass coffin?
I love how they treat this place like an amusement park, and this chick is just climbing out of the glass coffin like it was some sort of ride. Tony and Wendell finally locate the mirror, which is priced low and easily within their grasp, but an observant auction goer notices it as well and has his suspicions about its age and value. Wolf and Virginia have some more touching moments where, through telling the story of Snow White to her, the two of them are simultaneously experiencing it firsthand. Tony interrupts their magical moment, informing them of the mirror's location, but when the four of them return, the secret is out. The mirror is now the showpiece of the auction, the price has been raised, and somehow the slow as balls huntsman, he's already arrived and is there watching them. Finding themselves way too short on the money needed to bid on the mirror, the trio hit up the casino. This is the complete opposite of Vegas. And Wendell, the human this time, is in quite the predicament. About to lose his marbles from being human so long, he threatens to thwart the queen's plans, but she is not having it.
There are no masters here, and only one mistress.
Now Back at the casino, Wolf is purposefully trying to lose his money in an attempt to keep Virginia here with him as Tony is deep in a game of cards and doing okay, it seems. The Queen sends Wendell for a horseback riding lesson, but the horse decides to take off instead, further upsetting her plans. Out of nowhere, one of the magic mirrors behind her comes to life and a voice speaks to her. Stepping through the mirror, the Queen arrives inside of an ancient chamber with the original Queen, who looks genuinely terrifying in this. She seeks guidance, and for as cunning as she seems, she's kind of an idiot for not being able to figure out the easiest way to kill Relish would be to poison him.
Kill the Troll King.
But how? He is so strong.
The old ways are the best.
Really, you had to travel through an ancient mirror and have a heart-to-heart with zombie mummy queen just to figure that out? Wendell's horse finally makes an abrupt stop, flinging him off and into an apple orchard, and he's quickly found by some of the family, while back at the casino, Wolf miraculously hits the jackpot but doesn't want Virginia to find out for fear of losing her. Feeling the effects of the town, or maybe it is their true feelings finally coming to the surface, they share a moment on a balcony. Just you wait till she finds out what you've done. You're gonna be in trouble. Tony's doing rather well, and Wolf, forced to collect his winnings, is still desperately trying to keep it a secret when the Queen contacts him yet again for more of the same old, same old. The huntsman is still on their trail, and Wolf is having a mental breakdown on what to do about Virginia. Tony is still gambling, perhaps the only thing he's good at other than fixing things. Wolf wakes the judge up in the middle of the night, shoving handfuls of bills into his arms, asking him for the greatest marriage proposal money can buy. The Queen finally locates Wendell, or one of her mirrors does, and the only way she gets the Troll King to talk to her is by telling him his children are dead. Wolf is still on a spending spree when he heads into a shop and a kinda dark scene unfolds.
Now, sir, was a little something I...
Seeking the perfect ring, he is presented with something both ridiculous and cute at the same time.
These.
No, not those. They're cool, but this...
I long to linger on your sweetheart's finger.
This thing comes out like a member berry.
Remember feeling safe? Remember no I'm safe? Remember Reagan? Oh, I remember. Ooh, remember.
I love it. I don't know why.
I will laugh and chuckle on your girlie's knuckle.
So stupidly adorable.
Never fidget, jammed upon her digit. I'll be sweet and fresh, wrapped around her flesh.
Nearing a showdown at the casino, Tony goes all in from both greed and concern they might not have enough money to get the mirror. I mean, most likely greed, though, since... And Tony blew it, man.
So, a deal's a deal. I expect you want a biscuit more than you want this money, though.
Wendell on the rebound. I gotta admit, that was kind of clever. You forgot about him, don't lie. As luck would have it, or simply writing the script this way, the gang make it back to the auction just in time to bid their entire $5,000 on the mirror.
5,000. Going once, twice.
10,000.
Oh, you goober. Back at the orchard, Ed and his one-man army are waiting for the Queen and searching for Wendell. The family who have taken him in find his behavior questionable to say the least when without warning the Queen busts in. Ed and the Queen face off, and she stalls for the inevitable.
Hooray! You didn't expect that, did you?
It's not Ed's fault that line was lame, but that line was lame.
I'm impressed at your foresight. And had you arrived 2 hours earlier, you would have found me poisoning the apples.
That's gonna effectively murder half the kingdoms. I mean, who the hell knows the distribution route for these apples? But it's not like she cares, I know. I'm just saying.
Poison is something of a science with me, and I seem to have timed it just right.
Yeah, I was gonna say. The army of trolls have fallen at this point, and the Queen and Wendell are off with presumably the Troll King's head in a crate. Now at a bar, lamenting their loss, Wendell and Tony are having some drinks, and Wolf comes in dressed to kill. Wendell speaks to Tony about Wolf, pretty bluntly.
You'll have her on her back before you can say happy ever after.
Tony starts to reveal more of his backstory along with Wendell since both of them are loaded now, and the bartender delivers a note to them from an unknown person. Probably the huntsman.
The huntsman.
Definitely the huntsman. Sharing a table together, Wolf is putting the moves on Virginia and also revealing more about himself. And Virginia comes in also feeling let down until the magic of the town starts again.
A wolf mates for life. Am I not your first boyfriend?
Oh God, I've been that one
Loads of guys.
It's kind of cute how innocent he is.
Oh, but...
These scenes are honestly touching, filled with decent dialogue, and even if it's only that I can enjoy these because I like both of the actors, I'll take it. It culminates in their first kiss. Look at me not complaining about a love scene. I'm gonna summarize a bit here for you because while not bad in any way, the movie just does a fair bit of back and forth here as it slowly reveals a bit more about the concurrent events of both Wolf and Virginia and Tony and Wendell. Following instructions, they begin to make their way through the square, trying to identify where the huntsman might be hiding with the mirror. Virginia discovers how Wolf was able to afford such a ring that moments ago utterly captured her heart, and her feelings of betrayal and anger immediately take over. And Tony has now made his way into the huntsman's hiding spot, but when he tries to take the mirror, he triggers another one of the booby traps. The huntsman begins to make his way towards Wendell, who wasn't tied up too tightly to begin with, baiting the huntsman and allowing Tony an opportunity to escape with the mirror, the only way he can, which doesn't look safe. Now, Wolf is brokenhearted, but imagine the hilarity on set of trying to stand still there and just have this scene filmed. You know that wasn't captured in one take. They all laughed. They laughed. Tony's climbing out the window while the huntsman is trying his best to fire a shot true, but his aim is temporarily disabled when Wendell arrives, and other Wendell is complaining about it.
That's a lie! I'm Prince Wendell!
Oh, come on, that was way too lucky, but I'll accept it. Now, this next scene is hilarious as the ring taunts Wolf.
You cannot choose her. You are just a hopeless loser.
And he throws the little bugger into the water. The Queen appears again to Wolf, manipulating him at his most broken, and he succumbs to the temptation. Still climbing down the roof with Virginia resting right below him for no reason other than to make this next scene's dialogue funny, I guess.
Well, at least things can't get any worse.
Funny by like 2000 standards anyway. Virginia and Tony are kicked out of town for their bad luck vibes, and with pieces in hand of the mirror, they are in a barn somewhere trying to figure out what to do when they flip them over and discover some text that might lead to the manufacturer. A lot of simple plot convenience here, honestly, as they had nearly all the top pieces of the mirror to read, and Wendell just happens to know where Dragon Mountain is. Well, I mean, he is the prince. I guess that's not a stretch. A prince and future king should know all parts of his kingdom, right? In the next scene, we're introduced to some smithers who have purchased on the cheap the trolls from the auction, thinking it nothing more than a bad cast, and they're arguing over whether or not it's real gold, fool's gold, or something else entirely. They soon find out. And so do Virginia, Tony, and Wendell. Thank God, I miss these guys so much. They're so funny to me. They might be the best part of this series. They get leg cramps. Wendell arrives home for his coronation, Forrest Gump style.
I need to urinate.
I gotta pee. I believe he said he had to go pee.
And inside he goes to the astonishment of the rest of the leaders. The Queen, remaining hidden inside the coach, remains undetected somehow. Now at Dragon Mountain, the three begin their climb.
Wait a minute! No!
God, Tony is such an idiot.
It's my bad luck.
Oh yeah. I don't really believe in that, but oh yeah. Now the two begin to bicker about the broken mirror and emotions fly. Wendell is happy to be home, proud that he dressed himself, and when voices come from the mirror, we find the three stooges seeking out whoever. Finding the Queen, she begins to manipulate them, blaming the death of their father on Virginia, and I love this one line.
You haven't heard the awful news then?
We haven't heard anything. We've been gold.
We've been gold.
Swear that you will track her down.
We swear it!
Continuing up the mountain, the two split up at both stubbornness and irresponsibility as the huntsman continues to just meander along like Michael Myers in no hurry at all, but somehow always being close to them.
So obstinate.
I guess Tony isn't moving that fast either though, huh? Now eventually the three meet up and the climb seems to have resolved their differences. Oh god, he's one of those guys. Now the trolls have a realization about their father's death.
Dad.
Both celebration.
No more beatings!
Oh, we could fail totally without fear of punishment.
And sadness.
What are we saying? He was our dad.
He gave us our first weapons.
He taught us how to keep a torture victim conscious for hours.
Arriving at the base of a cave, a World of Warcraft tier something or other helmet down there. Inside, Tony begins to apologize to Virginia while the sounds of wolves howling upset her. The two reconcile for good this time, and in the morning, the prince comes in with a comically large bone.
Big burn. Big burn.
He's just turning into a dog at this point. The gang head into Onyxia's lair and end up exploring the dwarves' mines. They witness a great spectacle as more bad luck crosses Tony's path and the group are discovered. Not only that, the dwarves become aware that Tony is the one who broke one of their great mirrors, and into the dungeon they are led until passing by the prince's new mirror, his true form is revealed to them.
Look! It's Prince Wendell, grandson of the greatest woman that's ever lived.
The trolls have tracked them to the dwarves' caves, and as they are making their way through its tunnels, one of the dwarves delivers some history on their kind and their mountain, as well as what and why they mine.
This is extremely quicksilver. Ordinary quicksilver is much too slow for magic mirrors.
Now, seeking to find the whereabouts of another of the traveling mirrors, the dwarf leads them to Gustav, an old magic mirror who is knowledgeable on lots of things, but is old and only wants to speak in rhymes. It's always rhymes in these things, right?
What is it with you people?
3 fine mirrors that were made.
None of which will be easy to get to. He also reveals to them the queen's whereabouts before Tony.
Murderers! Kill them!
On run from death for what, the 7th or 8th time in this series? Deeper into the mine they go, where Tony's bad luck continues.
Dad? Dad?
Virginia and the prince climb down to him where he is greatly injured, and they continue to search for a way out without him because there isn't much choice otherwise. Guess who arrives punctual, as always, right as Virginia stumbles upon, instead of a way out, a great secret of the mountain.
There lies the fairest of them all.
That's Snow White.
Well, yes.
Look, I don't mean to be mean here at all, but the first thing I thought of when I saw this was, nah, not that one. Nah, that's it. Revealing that she's the one who's been protecting Virginia from the Queen's sight all this time, she has revealed her great destiny finally that the Gypsy predicted way back in the journey. And it's been a long journey so far, huh? We still got another part to this. Not quite as long though. Snow White's mother was a queen. We get a lot of backstory on both her childhood, and her mother's jealousy at her mirror's response in time as she grew more beautiful than her own mother was.
When you realize that you're so awful that your own mother wants you murdered.
She also reveals that the huntsman spared her life.
Let me live. And he put his knife away.
A rare occurrence, I imagine. And she begins to tell of how she met the 7 dwarves.
On the table, there were set 7 plates. And when I went upstairs, there were 7 beds all in a row. So tired, I fell fast asleep.
Now, these scenes again demonstrate the care in which they took, twisting these fairy tales into something old, new, familiar all at once.
She held me in her arms until I died in front of her, choking.
And terrifying. Virginia also gets some emotional guidance that she so desperately needs, being motherless for so long, and boy does her acting skills come through here.
You are standing on the edge of greatness.
No, I'm not. I'm nothing. I'm useless.
Finally given a purpose, she is also granted a wish by Snow White, who's apparently a genie now as well.
I wish that Dad's bad luck was over. Oh, and that his back wasn't broken anymore.
Strictly speaking, that's 2 wishes. But it's done.
And off she goes to rescue her father, who has no idea he's now cured. Hearing footsteps approach, he calls out to Virginia, but it's not Virginia. And then it is Virginia who takes care of business. Rescuing Tony, the 3 of them head into Snow White's cave, but it's suddenly empty, and taking the advice at heart, she embraces the darkness and leads them to safety. Outside, as Virginia speaks to her mirror, this part of the series leaves us on a pretty good cliffhanger as many parts of the puzzle begin to fall into their place.
Mirror, mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land?
Christine.
No, it can't be.
What?
Someone is watching me. Wait! Someone is spying on me. That was Mom. She's here?
How did Christine, Virginia's mother, end up in the 10th Kingdom as the Queen? Will the gang ever get their hands on the magic mirrors? Join me again next time in the final installment of my 3-part review of the 10th Kingdom. And as always, if you enjoyed this kind of content, hit the thumbs up button, leave your comments down below, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when I'm uploading content.